Hey, I'm Haylee Hicks, and I was fortunate enough to be a part of the LNBC Student Ministry from 7th to 12th grade, and overall it was just an extremely impactful time for me as a believer. Being involved in the student ministry was just really transformative for my faith. The Lord used this ministry to really just open my eyes to who He was, what the gospel was, in just a totally different light than I had seen growing up. So I actually was born and raised here at LNBC. I've been involved from elementary school. I was involved in children's ministry, pretty hardcore. I was in Awana's children's choir, Sunday school, Club J, basically everything that the church offered for elementary school kids, you bet I was there. So I was saved at a young age in the midst of all of the children's ministry coolness, but really there was no radical change in my life. I really just went to school, went to church, was a Christian, didn't really focus on living for the Lord. And whenever I got into youth group is when things kind of changed. Like I was saying earlier, the Lord really used the youth ministry to just show me who He was in a different light. When I got to youth, I really understood the gospel and the magnitude of it, the weight of my sin that had been taken on the cross, and that I no longer had to dwell on that or care what anyone else thought of me, because I was living for this divine purpose that the Lord had placed me here on earth, that He had chosen me, and that I was really just to live for Him and devote my life to that. And so it was the summer after my 8th grade year, we were at Snowbird Summer Camp, and I rededicated my life to Christ because I really knew sort of what I had committed to earlier in my elementary school years whenever I was first saved. I really understood it in a new light, in a new perspective, and so I was like, okay, I'm living for this. This is when I'm gonna start pursuing the Lord really hardcore. And so being super involved in the student ministry also allowed me to understand the community of believers that the Lord had placed around me. He had so blessed me with just so many solid friendships, and that all started in the student ministry, really. He had just blessed me with this community and this awesome fellowship around me. The friendships that I had developed in the student ministry are ones that I know that I'll carry with me forever because they have the foundation of Jesus Christ. And because of that foundation, we're assured this eternity of friendships. And those friends that I've established through the student ministry and through being involved are really ones that they encourage me always. They push me closer to the Lord. We encourage each other, and so it's really just this really cool picture of like loving each other through the basis of Jesus Christ. So fast forward a little bit, during high school, I faced a lot of trials and tribulations, specifically with family hardships. We just kind of went through a tough time, and also went through some stuff with some friends at school, just facing kind of persecution for my beliefs, and I was kind of questioning like, what is going on? It seemed like the world around me was just kind of crumbling down slowly but surely, and things weren't really going right. So during that time, the Lord just kept reminding me, and I had to keep reminding myself also, like the battle against flesh and spirit, that God is in my midst no matter what. You know, like the Lord is with me. He has a plan. Even when it seems like things are going crazy and not going my way by any means, the Lord is still in my midst, and He's sovereign. He knows what's going on, and I just have to trust and rest in that no matter what. And because I was pressing into Him and like understanding His grace more than I ever have, I just found so much rest and comfort in that despite the craziness around me. So this past season actually has been probably the most growing season of my life, like since I graduated high school. And interestingly enough, it all started with something where I was like, this is terrible circumstances. So at the end of my senior year of high school, I was accepted to North Carolina State University, and this was one of my top schools. So I was ecstatic when I found out that I got in. I was so excited. I actually cried of how happy I was. So you can imagine it was amazing. So I went on the website to confirm my admission and to just kind of get the enrollment process started. And it said that we're informing you that you've been selected as a part of this new program to where 1,200 freshmen that were accepted actually were moved to start in January rather than August. And so I was like, what is happening? Once again, my plans aren't going correctly. And I was just like, what in the world? So after wallowing in my sadness and self-pity, the Lord kind of shook me awake and was like, Haylee, it's okay. Like, you were trying to plan all of this on your own when you should be resting in me and saying, like, my plans are so much greater than anything that you can come up with on your own or anything that you can even imagine. So the Lord used this circumstance to really mold me and just draw me in closer to him. And through that, I've just been so blessed, and he's been so gracious and so faithful in my life, more than I can even imagine. Like, I'm honestly blown away by his faithfulness in my life because I've just been able to see it so clearly in this circumstance. And in August, when all my friends went away to college and I was sitting here going like, oh no, I have no friends, like, this is so sad, this is awful, why is this happening to me? The Lord once again was so faithful, and he came into my life and just blessed me with this community of believers, and just brought some of the greatest mentors into my life in this season. And just the timing of it all, I'm like, this is the Lord. Like, he is using this circumstance to bring him glory. Like, I've been so encouraged by this time, and this extra time I get to spend with my mom and sister. It's been such a blessing to me, and I see finally how these things are all working together for his glory and my good. And so because of this, he's also opened doors for discipleship and for leadership and ways that I can still serve while I'm here, as a way of him saying, like, look, Haylee, I'm not done using you here in Huntersville. And just those little reminders and measures of grace, I can just tell that, like, I have this assurance of, like, this is the Lord's plan for me. I'm comfortable with this, and going forward, moving off to NC State in January, I have this newfound comfort and rest in the Lord's got this, because I've been able to see it. And just his grace has been so tangible in my life. It's been so encouraging, and now I just live with this. I'm just so compelled to share of what the Lord has done in my life, to share of his glory and his goodness, and just how he can bring peace. And now I'm living in greater pursuit of him and for him, and just the expansion of his kingdom.